welcome everybody. My name is Liz Burns, and I am with Decisions at Every Turn Coalition. We are Ashland's Substance Use Prevention Coalition, and I wanted to invite you to tonight's Power event. And this is actually our 13th Power program of the year. And we're happy to have all of you here. So part of the Decision at Every Turn's Coalition mission is to work at a community level to promote healthy decision making. And we do this by working with many community partners to help reduce risks and to increase protective factors that can support young people in our community. So I'd like to take just a minute to thank all of the sponsors from the community that helped bring this program to Ashland. So first I wanted to thank the Ashland Public Schools, the town of Ashland, our corporate sponsor, Needham Bank. I'd like to thank the partner in the Power Series, that's the Friends of the Ashland Public Library, the Metro West Regional Coalition for Suicide Prevention, and the United Way of Tri-County Call to Talk Service, the Ashland K-12 PTO, Ashland Youth Soccer, ASHPAC, and Huffington Youth and Family Services, and the Huffington Organizing for Prevention Group. So with all of that, I would like to introduce this speaker. He is a motivational speaker, an ex-Red Sox player, and founder of the Will to Live Foundation, who speaks often about the importance of recognizing the many teammates that support us throughout our lives. So please give a warm welcome to John Troutwine.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to stay close to this microphone because this is speech number 6 today. And, but I have had just a wonderful day. I've really had fun today. And I had the absolute pleasure of speaking to, a couple hundred 8th grade students from the middle school, the entire student body of the high school, had a fun lunch with community leaders, and then met with the coaches at 3:30. And all of them saw and heard basically the same presentation that you guys are going to hear tonight. And my goal really in all of these speeches is, most importantly, is give you this message of how important it is to simply be aware. And when we all leave tonight, I hope that you perhaps look in the mirror slightly different tonight at the relationships in your lives, how you approach them and how you navigate through them, particularly with the teenagers in your life, living in this crazy world of 2018. And I hope you do it in a positive way. I hope there's some motivation behind your steps as you walk out of here. That's my goal anyway. I'm very motivated to be here, and I think you'll see why over the next 40 or 45 minutes as I go through a very personal story of how teammates in my life literally picked me up and carried me through and showed me a way to turn something that was quite tragic into something quite wonderful and something quite fun and something quite motivational and inspirational. And I had so much fun sharing it with your kids today. And it was fun to see them respond to the presentation. It was fun to see them come up to me afterwards and say, I hope my mom comes tonight. I hope my dad comes tonight. I really want them to hear you. Because the message I give, the kids get. The kids understand. And the last thing I'm going to say before I start is please understand who you're listening to. I'm not a suicidologist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a medical expert in any way. I'm simply a dad. I'm simply a parent who's trying to find a way to navigate through raising teenagers in this absolutely crazy world. And as I introduce my family there, my lovely wife Susie of 25 years and our 4 kids, Will and Tommy and Michael and Holland. We live in Johns Creek, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta, northern suburb in Fulton County. We moved there about 20 years ago. I grew up in the Chicago area. I went to Northwestern University. I played baseball there. And then after that, I had this wonderful opportunity to play professional baseball for about 7 years. If you Google me, you will be disappointed. I wasn't that good. I looked good, but I wasn't that good. And I did get to spend one really fun year in the big leagues here with the Red Sox. back in 1988. Go ahead, make it. But perhaps the real athlete in the family is my wife, Susie. She was a lacrosse and field hockey player at the University of Virginia. So both of us were on teams for a large proportion of our lives. And we therefore still today have a very teammate-driven approach to our parenting. Your kids, your brothers and your sisters are your teammates, and you love your teammates on or off the field. My kids have heard every teammate cliche that has ever been written. And we've had fun doing it. It's a very, very loving home. My wife is nuts about me. And I'm nuts about her. And if you ask the people in our neighborhood about the Troutwine family, they'll say, yeah, they got a good thing. They're living the dream. And I really did believe that. But 7.5 years ago, the dream crashed, and it crashed hard, when our oldest child, our son Will, took his life. He was 15. He was a freshman at our local high school. Handsome, big, strong, successful in all walks of his life. He was a good student. He was a good athlete. He was a fabulous musician. He wrote songs. He was in a band. And you can imagine, the power and the popularity of an 8th grader and a freshman who's in a band and writes songs in today's world. He was the leader of his friends. He was the consultant of his friends. And he had so many of them. And when he died, we were so stunned and we were so shocked that we thought someone came into our house and murdered him. My son hung himself in his bedroom. A 6'1" boy on a 6-foot door. And to this day, I still wonder. Because that night, the night before he died, we went to dinner. And I said, hey, Will, we're going to dinner tonight. And he said, Dad, I've got this big test tomorrow. Can you study? Can you test me? And I said, sure, bring your cards. There had been no cards. So we went to Verrazano's Pizza in Johns Creek, and we sat there, and I tested him for his geology test. There was 15 of these cards. He knew the answer to every one. I go, wow, well, you know your stuff. He goes, yeah, I'm going to kick this one, Pop. He studied really hard the night before he died for a test he never took. And during that night, he said to me, Dad, on Saturday, this is Thursday night, he killed himself Friday morning. On Saturday, can we get up early? Because I have to ref at noon, lacrosse, for the young kids, so can we get up early to go get my driver's permit? He killed himself the day before he was going to get his driver's permit. Mom, am I getting my braces off next week or in 2 weeks? Notice there's no teeth showing in those pictures. 4 years of braces coming off next week. Dad, in 2 weeks, he died October 15th. In 2 weeks, for Halloween, my band's playing in our cul-de-sac. Like the whole school's going to be there. It's going to be awesome. Check out this song list. And of course, I had no idea who the Blink-183 was. The Silly Puppies or wherever the heck they were. I had no idea. So you better play some Van Morrison or something. And we laughed. And we had a good night. And when I said goodnight to him that night, I was sitting at a computer in our study area, and he goes, Dad, I'm going to bed. Sorry, night, Will, love you, man. And we fist bumped. I said, love you, man. And he said something like, and he went upstairs. And if you would have told me that my son was struggling in any way, shape, or form that night, if you'd have told me that he had any sort of illness, let alone depression or anxiety or was suicidal, I would have said, absolutely not. I was a hands-on, loving dad who knew his son very, very well. But I had no idea of the illness that he had. And he had no idea of the illness that he had. And that very weekend, people came out of the woodwork to tell me about the stories in their lives. And they all had one. Just like you all now have one in this community. Of the loss of a loved one. Or a situation of mental illness or depression or suicide. People were telling me about their brothers, about their college roommates, about their fathers, all this history in their lives. People I'd known for a long time had a story of suicide, and I was like, I've known you for 10 years, and you're telling me your brother took his life? Oh, we don't talk about it. Wow. Nobody talks about it. And I remember just being so baffled. How could that family, how could depression enter that household? How could suicide enter that household? I just was baffled by it. And as I started to talk to more people who were better educated than me, and I started hearing these statistics that every 13 minutes in America, somebody takes their life. And every 2 hours in America, it's a teenager. I had no idea. I was not aware, and because of that, my son died. I truly believe it. And if you would have told me 8 years ago that a really nice guy was going to come and give a speech about the will to live, or life teammates, or suicide awareness, I would have said, oh, that's really great. I'm glad that's happening. I don't need to cover that, but I'm sure it'll be great. No way do I come to this meeting tonight 8 years ago. I just don't. And if you had told me that Will had depression, I would have gotten pissed off. I would have gotten right in your face and said, no, he doesn't. Look at him. He's perfect. And if he would have told me he had depression, I would have talked him out of it, because I'm a good salesman. And I just thought depression was this choice just to be sad or something. It certainly doesn't happen in our world. It certainly doesn't happen in the Troutwine family. And I had no idea that 1 in 6 of the children that I spoke to today suffered from some form of depression or other diagnosable mental illness. 1 in 6 of the, 2,000 kids I spoke to today. That's a lot. All of you know a lot of teenagers that suffer from some form of mental illness. And you know what? It's okay. It's common. It's treatable. It's okay. But I never knew this. I thought depression was a character flaw. I also didn't realize that 1 in 10 college students already have a plan of how they're going to do this. Are you kidding me? In today's wonderful world and all of these wonderful things that they have, I had absolutely no clue. I decided to spend, I didn't decide, I just spent a lot of time with Will's friends after he died. They needed to be with me, and I needed to be with them. And my wife needed to be with them. And we talked, and we talked, and we just were there for each other, and we tried to give each other hope, because none of us had a clue what was going on or how this could happen. And I started to really dig into the day in the life of Will, and the day in the life of our kids. And it wasn't long before I realized, and I'm going to show you a slide right now, which was by far the most popular slide that I showed your children today. They have it really hard. Your kids have it harder than you did. Your kids have it harder than I did when I was their age. It's very difficult to be a teenager today. And I said to the kids, and they're all looking at me like, I love this guy. Right? And I said, you don't hear this very often, do you? They go, no. I said, because I'm just like your mom and dad. I had no clue. I kept saying how wonderful it was to Will. 5 days, this is a true story. It's in my book, which is going to be for sale out there. 5 days before he died, I stopped the car on the way home and said, dude, let's trade. He said, what? I want to be you. Can I just be you? I'm going to trade. Let's trade right now. How do we do that? He's like, why? I said, oh, Will, look at this. Look at this place. Look at these schools. Look at these opportunities. This is so awesome. I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited for you. That's how clueless I was. 5 days later, he killed himself. And I'm sitting here thinking he's on top of the world. How does that happen? How do I miss that by so much? It wasn't like I was traveling 9 weeks out of a quarter. I was home most of the time. I was with him. That's depression. Truly functional depression. Totally maskable. I had no clue. These kids have it hard, and sometimes when I talk to parents, I get that look. You're telling me that my son, who just got into his little BMW at age 17, drove away into his huge school with a huge auditorium and the beautiful turf fields and the road trips all over the country, where I didn't get my first car until I was 23, and it was a Chevy Nova, and I walked uphill in the snow with no shoes up both ways every day of my life, and you're telling me my son has it harder than I did? And I go, Dad, keep it coming. What else you got? Come on, what else you got? And they'll keep going. And then I'll just walk over here, and I'll say, all right, Pop, did you have that? And he says, no. And I said, I won. I just won. I won the argument. What comes with this, what comes with this Internet of Things, what comes with this 24/7 accessibility and communication and information overload is nothing like we had when we were their age. And this whole time, I'm saying to Will, isn't this so awesome? Isn't this so great? The world is hammering him every day. Whether in academic or athletic or social, whatever. I look at that upper left-hand corner of all those school logos. The #1 source of stress and anxiety in high school kids today is where they're going to go to school and are they going to get in and is it a good enough school and can we afford it, blah, 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 and stay, etc., etc. It's so much harder than when we were there. I went to Northwestern University, one of the finest academic institutions in the land. I don't get into University of Georgia in 2018 with my grade point average, back in 1979. There's just no way. They would laugh at me. And I talked to these kids today and I said, I want you to really, really listen to what I have to say right now. They are all good schools. It's not the school, it's you. Will is 15. We never even talked about college. But the University of Georgia came into our high school and told him, you have to take a bunch of AP classes and you better get A's in all of them. Or you won't get into University of Georgia. Are you kidding me? I never talked about school with him. Mom went to UVA, Dad went to Northwestern, he can't get into Georgia. Society puts a lot of pressure on these kids right now, and that's what they're hearing when they come into this school and other schools. I imagine it's probably even worse in this town when you think of the quality of the education in the colleges around here. I never thought about that. I never once said to Will, wow, this is really hard, isn't it, buddy? I didn't have to do this. Not once did I say that. I really regret that. He still has to do it, but wouldn't it have been nice for him to hear from his dad, wow, this is a bummer. I didn't have to do this, Jim. How are we going to do this? This is hard. I wish I would have done that. And when I interview people for jobs, and I interview for people jobs, and you guys probably do it too, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 times a year. Not once have I ever said in an interview, so what did you get in AP Lit at Ashland High when you were a junior? Oh, a B. Oh, that's going to hurt you. I never once asked somebody's grade point average. All the interviews I've ever had in my life, nobody asked me what my grade point average. Kind of pissed me off. I worked pretty hard for that grade point average. Whether it was high school or college, nobody ever asked. Yeah, they may have looked at my degree. They definitely looked to see if I went to college. But as I said to the kids, it's not the school, it's you. They're all good schools. What I looked for is, what was your presence like when you walked in the room? How were you dressed? How did you look me in the eye? How did you shake my hand? How did you answer the question that I asked you that was really off the wall? How did you answer the question I asked you that made you really uncomfortable? What's your sense of urgency like? What are your friends going to say about you? How do you do working with a team? What do your teammates say about you? You cannot get that from a degree. And I'll tell you right now, kids, when you're 25 or 28 or 30 and you walk and you just said I do, you're not going to be walking down the aisle and go, I can't believe I didn't get into Tufts. It's not school. And when the rejection letters start coming, we need to remember that. It's not the school. But I also understand how hard it is. Staying in state, the costs of these schools, the amount of financial burden on the family, on you guys. These kids know that. These kids are smart. And I just want you to be aware of that. I just want you to be aware. And I think that's something that I missed. I just missed it. I think of the athletic part. I stood on the mound at Fenway Park. That's about as high as you can get in baseball. That's pretty cool, right? I'm on the mound in Fenway Park. Guys, I don't make the Ashland High School baseball team in 2018 because if I grew up today, I wouldn't have made the travel team when I was 11 because when I was 11, I was a complete dork. But back in 1975, there weren't any travel teams, and society was really patient, and they let me grow. And I got to grow 6 or 7 inches and gain 100 pounds between my freshman year and my junior year. And I got to have a really good summer before my senior year, and I got a scholarship to college. That would never happen today. Dreams are being shattered at a very early age because of these awesome opportunities. Oh, he better be on that elite team. How old is he? 9. Oh my God. I have that conversation a lot. Social. Yeah. When Debbie Feger dumped me, I was 15 and she regrets it. And I'm not bitter. When that happened, nobody tweeted it. There wasn't a Snapchat story about it. My relationship status didn't go from in a relationship to single. I said that to the kids today, they all just laughed. We're stuck in Facebook. Well, in 2010, there was only Facebook. And when Will's girlfriend broke up with him 6 weeks before he died, he found out from a buddy who saw it on Facebook. Our kids, the teenagers that you know today, they are waking up tomorrow knowing that if they make a mistake, if they trip and fall, if they fumble, if they have a zit on their nose, if they do something stupid, there is a very, very high probability that every person they have ever met in their lives will know about it by dinner. We didn't have that, guys. People used to ask me the difference between the big leagues and the minor leagues. When I gave up a home run pitching for Pawtucket, the 471 people in the stands knew that I sucked. When I gave up a home run pitching for the Red Sox, it was ESPN Play the Game. They played it 1,000 times, and it was in the box score of every single newspaper in every single city in the country. It was national. It was global. Our kids are living a national and global life, and they're 17 years old. Wow. I never once even thought about that. I kept saying, isn't this great? Isn't this cool? Isn't this awesome? This is so neat. This is so wonderful. And I just wish one time I would have said, wow, this is really hard. I had breakfast actually with a mom of a young man that I coached when he was playing travel ball. She works for a company and they were going to donate to the foundation, and she wanted me to meet her boss, and so I did. And I asked her how her daughter was doing. She's a senior at the same high school that my kids go to. And she said, well, you know, I work, John, so I feel like I don't get to talk to her enough, so I'm really trying hard to talk it, you know, to hear what her day's like. It's really hard for me to hear what's going on in her life. And so, you know, I asked her the other night, I asked her, like I do every night, how was your day? Well, tell me about your day. And she said, Mom, do you know what the most stressful part of my day is? Knowing that when I get home, you're going to ask me, how was my day? I was like, wow, that really hit me hard. Because for all of these years, I've been asking my kids, how was your day? How was practice? How'd you do on the test? What did the coach have to say? It's unbelievable the amount of these grunts that I get. You know what I do now after that breakfast? Or after that breakfast, that lady, I now say, so Michael, what pissed you off more than anything today? Boy, does he start talking. What made you laugh more than anything? Tell me something really stupid. What, you know, and just trying to get something out of them. How was your day? Because they know what's coming next. Did you do this? Did you talk to the coach? Did you go get the extra credit? Did you ask? Did you? And they've just gone through an entire 8 hours of, did you? Why didn't you? You better. Did you? Why didn't you? You better. It's just like getting jabbed in the face all day long. And it's just so different than when we were that age. Talk to college kids. It continues. The job hunting cycle, 30% of unemployment are millennials in their early 20s. These kids are saddled with an amazing amount of debt just before they even start. It's just really hard. And they don't hear it enough that it's really hard. And I think that was what was so much fun for the kids today to hear it. And I said, well, I'm really impressed with you guys. I'm really impressed with how you guys are able to navigate through this craziness of being a teenager and all of this ridiculousness that surrounds you 24/7. Good job, guys. Unfortunately, you have to do this stuff. But let's find a way to make it a little bit easier to do this stuff. And maybe doing it together would be that way, because who really does understand the challenges that you have? Who really understood Will's day in and day out challenges? Me, his mom, or his best buddies who he was with all the time? It was his best buddies, and he didn't talk to them either. And I thought, wow, everybody's talking, we got to talk about it, but maybe we need to find a way to get them to talk to each other. If Will would have said something to somebody, maybe we would have had a chance. And I really was trying to figure out, how do I get these kids to talk? And what angle could I use to get them to talk? And then I remembered the funeral. And I stood there and I gave the eulogy. It's unfair. I didn't deserve that. And I stood up there and I gave this eulogy, and his entire team was on the left-hand side of the church, all dressed up in their lacrosse jerseys. And they were just devastated. They just lifted with him the night before. Now he was gone forever. And as I was talking to them, I said, Will was all about you guys. He didn't care if he scored. He didn't care if he was the best. He didn't care if he won. He didn't care if he lost. He cared about you. He loved being with you guys. And it was a really great quality that he had. He totally rejoiced in other people's successes, which is kind of rare. And I did love that about him. And so I'm talking. But as I'm talking, I started picking out people in the stands. And I said, there's Mark Savard. Mark was the other guard on my 7th grade basketball team back in Chicago 30 years ago. He's at the funeral. We haven't communicated in any way, shape, or form in 30 years. But when we were 12, we were teammates. And he's in the church. And there's Jimmy Bartels, the first baseman on my Little League team. There's Randy Karen. We played the trumpet together in the 4th grade band. There's Tick and Fife and Scooch and Fran. And there's some of my football players, my baseball teammates, basketball teammates, my Northwestern buddies. They had come from all over the country to be there for their friend in a really difficult time. And it was almost, I can't explain it, but while I was giving the eulogy, I started to realize that these guys that I'm seeing are like my life friends. They're the ones that I was in the trenches with. They're the ones that I learned about life with. They're the ones that I went through my firsts with. Every one of the groomsmen in my wedding was there. All the bridesmaids for Susie were there. Godparents to our kids were there. And all of these life friends that I would later call life teammates were there. And it hit me hard, guys. I met every one of them when I was a teenager. When I was Will's age, when I was the age of the kids that I spoke to today. Those kids that I spoke to today have already met some of life's greatest friends. Will had already met his groomsmen. And I embarrassed a couple girls today. I said, you guys have already met some of your bridesmaids. Heck, your hubby might be in the room, girls. Of course, the place erupted, but that one. Stranger things, right? Who were in your wedding party, Mom? Who was in your wedding party, Dad? I'm pretty sure there were some teenagers in there. Or people that you met when you were a teenager. And it's such a great thing. Will had met some of life's greatest friends, and maybe if I could teach these kids to recognize that they have those kind of friends, and if we could find a way to get these guys to understand that life is hard and everybody has a story, that maybe they listen better. And my mind started to race, and my mind started to wander, and I just thought, you know, the best place to find hope and true understanding are with those people that know you the best. No one loves you like your mom, no one loves you like your dad, but no one really understands you like your pals, for obvious reasons. And that was where this concept of the life teammate, and I know I'm gambling a little bit because I also know that there are people in that audience today that may not have a bunch of life teammates. Maybe they just moved here. Maybe they are sitting alone. We're hearing that a lot lately in the national stage. And maybe the concept of life teammates has said, well, a life teammate also goes and searches, and goes and finds, and goes and befriends those people who could use a life teammate. Because when they do that, they will feel good. They will feel better. Because when you do give of yourself, you flat out feel better. And I came up with this, the more you give, the greater the will to live. And let's be thinking of it that way. Because everybody has a story. And I thought this concept of trying to improve their will to live by recognizing the friends that they already have. And that's where the foundation started. We talk about life teammates, and we talk about the importance of being there for each other. Who are your life teammates, and do they know? I asked every group, I think I asked every group. I'm getting old, I kind of forget. I believe I asked every group today this question. You're getting married on Saturday. Who's in your wedding? And the place lit up for about 30 seconds. You've been laughing and rolling their eyes and all this kind of stuff. And I said, okay, when you figure that one out, by the way, you want a good dinner table conversation? Ask that question. You're getting married this Saturday, who's going to be your bridesmaids? What? And if you have multiple kids, it's an awesome conversation. Because I asked Tommy and Michael and Colin, I said, Tommy, you're getting married Saturday, who's in your wedding? And he's like, and Colin goes, well, you have to ask Michael. And I was not asking Michael. Right, so the brothers are fighting this and that. And I did that to Susie. I said, we're at the dinner table and they're talking. Very rare. But this concept of, you're going to get married this Saturday, who is in your wedding? Do they know it? Do they know that's how you feel about them? Do they know that you care about them that much? That they are that life teammate, that's someone that you want to always be there for, and you want them to always be there for you. Those people that you would always want to show the love and show the good that exists in their lives, even when they can't see it. And this is where concepts like a club will to live in a school like this that promotes this concept of finding your love teammates and recognizing your life teammates and helping kids who we don't think have life teammates is very interesting. I was so pumped when I saw out there in the foyer all the club banners, and there's a big banner for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Club Will to Live at Northview, just a small club. I guess it's not that small, about 50 kids in it. They put on a concert, they put on a movie outside a football field. They watched Finding Nemo. They raised $8,000 and they funded a Make-A-Wish for a girl with a terminal disease in Alpharetta, Georgia, and her family to go to Hawaii. And I'll tell you what, when those kids, when those teenagers, those high school students gave that check to the Make-A-Wish Foundation that night, that was greater than any A they ever got. It was better than any home run they hit or touchdown they scored, because it was truly something special that they did. And I think that's just so important. They were able to show love to each other and find the good in each other. And the foundation really picked up. And we have this following. We raised over $1 million now just on events and activities put on by kids. And we're getting kids to talk. Uh-oh. We need to teach them to listen. We need to teach them to listen appropriately. What happens when they hear the message? What happens when they get the text? What happens when they read something on social media? You won't need to worry about me anymore. This life isn't worth it. And here, take all my best stuff. I'm never going to need it anymore. I'm going to kill myself. However form it takes. And when the foundation started, I remember thinking, what do I do if they hear it? Because I didn't know. So I found my friends. She's here today from one of the original, from Screening for Mental Health. And they came up with this, I act. I acknowledge, I care, and I tell. I acknowledge that they're serious. I acknowledge that something is really wrong. Because when I was 15, if somebody would have said, I'm going to kill myself, I would have said, toughen up. I wouldn't have taken them seriously. Well, I would now. We all need to now. We acknowledge and then we care. We do show the love. We do try to show them the good that does exist and get them to breathe a little bit and to think about it a bit. And then together, we tell an adult. Because an illness like depression that does not get treated, just like any other illness, can lead to tragedy. And this is what happened to my boy. He never got treated because he didn't even know he had it. And I didn't know he had it. Nobody knew he had it. Nobody knew it existed. And here we are. So this concept of teaching kids to act and teaching kids to be there for each other and talk about the people in their lives, their Fab Fives, their life teammates, however you want to call them. And this concept of making them want to show the good that exists in their friends' lives. And then at that point, we had some fun today. Sorry. Okay. So in 1988, it's April. I have been in 2 games so far, early in the season. I'm a relief pitcher. I had done pretty well both games. Each game went an inning. All right, hold on. Hold, please. So this is my 3rd game, and the Oakland A's are in town. And I'm thinking, I got this. Boy, I really messed this up, didn't I? Mark McGuire's the batter.
Pickup with Rice and Lynn coming together.
Oh my goodness. Damn, I wish I was in Ashland talking to a bunch of parents right now.
Number 11 for McGuire ties him with Ken Herbeck for the
Yeah. Pre-steroids, I can't even blame that.
Catch the ball to the plate. The better.
So, quite honestly, that sucked. That ball went over the green monster. It went over the huge net above the green monster. It went over the street on the other side of the fence. It went over the bars on the other side of the fence where everybody goes after the game to talk about the bomb that pitcher just gave up. And it's rumored that if it actually did come down, if it wasn't burnt on re-entry, it landed somewhere on the Massachusetts Turnpike. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at the man who gave up the longest home run in the history of Fenway Park. Thank you. Okay, so nothing good came out of that. I was not happy. That was not a good thing. ESPN played the game. I had buddies calling me. Everybody was abusing me. Boston, are you kidding me? I had 32,000 people in unison yelling, "You suck." It was awful. Well, the next day, I have lunch with one of my high school buddies, one of those life teammates. I left him tickets. He was in town on business. I left him and 3 of his colleagues in town on business, and I left him tickets, and we go to lunch. And he knows I'm not happy. I'm thinking I'm going to be on a bus to Pawtucket by dinner, right? I'm so upset. And he goes, "John, can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Is it safe to say that at some point in your life, you had a dream, probably a pretty big dream, that one day you would strike out somebody in the big leagues?" I was like, "What?" "John, you heard me." "Okay, yes." "Dude, you did that. You did that last night. I was in the stands and I saw my very best friend get in a Red Sox uniform on the mound at Fenway Park, where a number that they would later retire." Nothing to do with that. "I saw him, my best buddy, get his first. I used to play catch with you when we were 5. I was in the stands crying. My colleagues were like, 'What the hell's wrong with you?' You don't understand. Trout just got his first big league strikeout." You know what I said to him? I did. I had no idea. I was so obsessed with the negative of that home run that I had completely missed
The catcher can catch the ball to the plate.
achieving a lifelong
He
dream.
can work the ball into the strike zone, or catch it into the strike zone. The
Pay attention now.
From it, obviously, needs to get to it.
Sit down, Stan. You're good. It's in my contract that if I show one, I have to show the other. You see my point. Sometimes it takes a friend to show the good that is there. I had no idea. And we find ourselves focusing on the negative so much that we miss some wonderful opportunities, and we also miss some wonderful learning experiences. If you look at those 2 pictures, the one on the left is the home run, the one on the right is the strikeout. There is a real learning opportunity there. That next day, Bill Fisher, I gotta be careful, one of my old teammates is here in the stands today. But you can't tell Fish I said this. Bill Fisher says to me, Troutwine, don't throw the ball down the middle to Mark McGuire. Thanks, Coach. Brilliant. However, that same day in the bullpen, one of my teammates, Wes Gardner, says, what was that pitch you struck out Javier on? I said, a two-seamer, sinker. He goes, where are you been hiding that? God, that was nasty. You need to throw that more often. Guys, that's coaching. You look at those two pictures. Yes, there's a learning experience. You learn from your mistakes. We all do it. I told the kids, the rest of their lives, they're going to hear this. Mistakes are a learning opportunity. You must learn from your mistakes. Learn, children, learn. Preventive maintenance, root cause analysis, corrective action, continuous measurement. Learn, children, learn. You also have to eat, and you also have to sleep. You want to be great? Find out what it is that you do really well, do more of it. Throw that sinker a little bit more often. Because if I keep throwing that four-seam fastball right down the middle, I will be in Pawtucket very, very soon. But maybe I should throw my sinker a little bit because that's something that I do really well. And I started, as I was giving these speeches to kids, I started to realize about my own job. What is it that I love to do and what do I do really well? Look at me. Are you looking at a guy who's grieving over the loss of his son? No, you're looking at a guy who's motivated. You're looking at a guy who's got a bounce in his step, who's telling jokes, who's making people laugh. Why? Because I'm really good at this and I love it. And I shouldn't be sitting behind a desk analyzing a spreadsheet. And I'm not bad at that either, but I hate it. What is it that I'm really good at, and what is it that I love to do? And if I can find those two things and put them together and do it a little bit more often, well, maybe my will to live may just improve. Why does this customer love us? Why does this group love us over here, but this customer doesn't like us at all? What's happening here that's not happening here? Oh, well, we make mistakes, or no, we make mistakes here too. I want you to find out why these guys love us. And let's package it. Why did I strike that guy out versus why did I give up the home run? It's a whole different aspect of this. And we spend so much time analyzing and focusing on the mistakes that sometimes we forget what it is that we do really, really well. And I said to these kids today, what do you love to do? What are you really good at? Especially you seniors. What's your major going to be? Because if you decide your major is going to be engineering because you think you can make a lot of money with engineering, but you hate math, yeah, right? What do you love to do? What are you really good at? What's your summer job going to be? Right? Try to get these things in your life because we spend so much time on the negative. Let's try to find that positive. And I said to the kids, if you don't know what it is that you're good at, ask your friends. You'll be really interested in their answers. By the way, that is a great exercise. It's a great exercise for your employees. What are your unique abilities? I want you to ask 5 people, what do you think your unique abilities are? It's very interesting, the responses you get. What is it that I do really well, and what do I love to do? And how can I do that more often? Because when you do that, all of a sudden you have a little bit more fun with the little things. And these kids need that. And by the way, you need it. Because I need it. It's time that we start rejoicing in the base hit. If we're waiting for home runs, it just doesn't happen that often. Time to start rejoicing in the single. That kid is getting 4 A's and a B and a C. That kid's a great student. You know what my dad would have said to him? Don't come home with a C. True story. My dad's a great father, still is today. But in 1975, that's how he did it. What's happening in all these classes that he's getting A's in that's not happening with the C? A little bit more of a positive focus because throughout their day, it's pretty negative. And when I met with the coaches today, I said, you guys have these kids during happy time. When are you positive with them? Because if you're saving all your passion for the negative, you're ruining an opportunity. That coach over there, what are the odds of him saying, great job, kid? I had over 200 coaches in my life. I said this to the coaches today, over 200 of them. Guess how many get Christmas cards from me? 7. And when I analyzed what differentiated those 7, they all gave me that look. I saw that look all the time. They were hard on me. They were tough on me. But it wasn't only when it was negative. They also got pumped when I did something well. They said, drop line, you finally boxed out, you got the rebound on Friday, way to go! Spitting on me, they probably dropped a few F-bombs in the middle of it, and I was like, damn, I love this guy. Positive passion. I said to these guys, are the kids coming home on Wednesday before Thanksgiving? Every one of you guys did, I know it. You came home from college your freshman year, on that Wednesday, you went back to your high school and you went and visited that teacher, that coach that inspired you, that motivated you, that told you and showed you that he or she loved you. And you wanted them to know how you were doing. You wanted to make them proud of you. Be that coach, be that teacher. Save some of that passion for a positive moment, because the effect it can have can change somebody's whole demeanor. It can change a relationship. It can improve the will to live. The vast, vast, vast majority of the kids I speak to are not suicidal. I'm not here to stop teen suicide. I'm here to improve the will to live. Because we all could use that. And if I can do that, if we can improve the relationships between you and your kid, if we can improve the relationship between our kids and our friends, it's going to improve their will to live. And you know what? Whether they're suicidal or not, doesn't matter. It's a positive thing. And we need that. And I think that's what's so much fun. That's when I talk to these kids, and in 45 minutes, it's just like this crowd. No cell phones, no fidgeting, nothing. They ate up every word that I said. They get it. They understand it. And they crave it. And remember, I never once said to Will, dude, this is hard. You guys also watch Modern Family. I'm sure you've seen Modern Family over the course of your last few years. One of the daughters, the younger daughter of the main family, is really smart. What's her name? Alex, right? And Claire, the mother, goes to curriculum night, and she's sitting through all these AP classes, and she realizes that her daughter gets 14 hours of homework every night, and she only has 8 hours to do it. And she's freaking out. And she goes to Alex, and she sees Alex, and she goes, how are you doing this? How can you do this? It's 14 hours, but you only have 8 hours. How can you do this? Oh my God, how can you do this? You know what Alex did? Thank you. That's all she said, was thank you, and she hugged her mom. Sometimes they need to hear it from us, from the trusted adults in their lives, that we know that it's hard, and we show that to them. And I never did that to Will. I always showed him that I loved him. And I always showed him that I thought it was great. But I never showed him that I understood just what he was up against and how hard it is. And that bothers me. I don't think he ever said, yeah, Dad gets me. And when his girlfriend broke up with him 6 weeks before he died, I was there. It was a Saturday. He came to me, his eyes were moist, and he said, Dad, Ashley dumped me. I said, oh, Will, I'm sorry. And I hugged him, and I said, you all right? He goes, no, not really. And you could tell it was his first girlfriend. They'd been dating for like 3 months. So I, being the good dad, I don't like to see my kids not okay. I'm going to make him okay. So I'm going to tell him about Debbie Feeker and how she dumped me and how she regrets it and how, look what happened to me. I married your mom. She's hot. And everything's going to be fine. He laughed a little, and I remember thinking, okay, I'm a good dad. I did that. I made him laugh. I told him he's going to be okay. I gave him an example of how the exact same thing happened to me, and I turned out great, and all of this stuff. You're going to be okay, Will. You're going to be fine. I'm not fine, Dad. I want to die. He never said that, because I never gave him the chance to. I was so strong and powerful in my personality to sell him on how great things are. He didn't have the heart to bring me down. He didn't have the heart to break my heart. And he certainly didn't know anything about depression and the illness that he had. And it bothers me that I didn't have that for him. But I do have it for his brothers and his sister. And when Tommy's girlfriend and he were having problems 2 years later, it was with every ounce of energy that I had to not go back down there and tell him about Debbie Feeker and how she regrets it and how everything works out. I married my mom, she's hot. I said, I'm not going to do that. All I said was, oh, Tommy, that sucks. I'm 50. I don't know anything about young love. What are you going to do? You got a friend? I don't know, dude. And he was hurting. And it was really hard for me. And I remember leaving him thinking, he's not okay. He's got to be okay. He's not okay. And my wife pulled me and said, no, practice what you preach, right? And I'm like, I want to make him okay, Susie. Well, maybe he just needs this moment. The next day, Tommy texts me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he says, Dad, Chandler and I just went over to her house, we had a long talk. Everything is fine. Thank you so much for the talk last night. That sucks? I don't know. Best piece of fathering that I ever did. At that point, I said to the kids, guys, your parents are just like me. We're clueless. They don't have classes for how to be a parent. We didn't grow up in this world. We just love you so much. So help us. Talk to us. Tell us what we're doing wrong because we don't know. And we're trying so hard. We want you to be okay. Maybe we do need to realize that sometimes it's okay to not be okay. And I think that was something that really changed my parenting, that it is okay to not be okay. And it's very common to not be okay because you're not in this alone. And there are so many people on this side of the room that have similar issues to the people on this side of the room. And particularly when you're talking to a group of kids the same age. And it works for me. Who understands me better? Another 55-year-old guy trying to get 2 kids through college with a third one coming to college soon and a mortgage to the hills and all of these things. And who understands that more? Another 55-year-old guy doing the same thing? Or my 18-year-old? Or a 28-year-old guy who's not married? Right? It's logical. It makes sense. And I just want these kids to understand that the people that truly understand them and the people that, because they truly understand them, they can really offer hope in that understanding, are the ones sitting next to them in the classroom and on the sidelines and on the dugout. Fortunately, I only have a few more slides left because right now my voice is going. All right. The dinner table conversations. We're not going to go through them. Who's going to be in your wedding? Who's in your wedding? Would you tell them who your life teammates? Do they know? All of these things. I challenge all of you. You have an opportunity here today. Use me. Use the Will Live Foundation. Use this entire day. Use all the activity that this community has put on today and over the course of the last few months to begin a conversation. What did you think of Mr. Troutwine's speech? What advice do you have for me, right? You have a chance to really talk to your kids tonight. And when you do that, you're sending them this message. I know it's hard. And I think that's the one thing I never did. And when you do that, even if they don't give you a good answer, even if they don't respond, even if they don't act like they're appreciative of it, they hear you. They hear you all the time. And the fact that you ask them, are you okay? You just told them that you think they might not be. And that's a step, right? That's an understanding that you understand that it can be really hard to be a teenager today. And I think that's a great opportunity. So use this foundation, use the book, use the message of today. Right? Use 13 Reasons Why. Use something to bring that conversation out. You will not be putting the idea of suicide in your child's head. That's a myth. It's everywhere. What you're going to be saying to your kids is that, hey, I know this is hard, but I'm here. I may not have all the answers, but we'll get through this thing together. At the same time, do you have friends that could use a chat? Utilize the friends. Find those friends and have them together. Have that conversation with the friends. What did you all think of Mr. Troutwine's speech? You guys all heard him. Do you have any friends in your school that could use a life teammate? All of these things that generate this conversation are so important because these kids need their life teammates. And if we can get these guys and gals to be able to say, I love you, I said to them today, when was the last time you said I love you to one of your friends? When was the last time you dropped a love you man on somebody? It's going to be hard to do that because you guys are all spread out a little bit, but right now, I want every person in this room to turn to the person next to you and say, I love you, man. Do it. So when we did that today, it was like 5 minutes. I mean, it was just like, and I said to him, I said, hey, kids, stop. How do we get them to stop? I said, just stop. I said, all I asked you to do was to turn to the person next to you and say, I love you, man. I didn't ask you to all start hugging. They're hugging and screaming, right? And there was this wave of positive energy, and it was really great. I said, guys, did you feel that? Is that so bad? Is that so hard? What am I asking everybody to do today? This is the 6th time I've gone through this. Not once have I asked anybody to spend any money or spend more money. Not once have I asked anybody to study harder. Not once have I asked anybody to run sprints or work out more or go to the gym or anything. All I'm asking is for these kids to look out for each other and to be able to recognize it. We all have a story, and a love you man once in a while is a good thing. And what happened to me, Will's gift to me, quite simple as that. Before he died, I used to think it was the receiver of the I love you transaction that was the benefactor. Now I know it's the giver. And when you do drop an I love you on somebody, you feel better. And I get the calls all the time, guys. I'm worried about my son. I'm worried about my daughter. I'm worried about my son's friend. I get them all the time in this world that I'm in. And I say 2 things. Take it seriously, get professional help now. Get them to help somebody. Get them to help somebody. Because when you do that, your own problems dissipate a bit. And this concept of giving is a good thing. And I'm doing it right now. And it's therapy for me. I get lots of compliments for doing this kind of stuff. And oh, it's so great. So many people said so many nice things to me today. But you also need to realize I'm doing this for me. I need this. I know Will would want me to do this. I know this would make Will proud. But at the same time, it makes me proud. Because I think I'm helping. And when I do that, I just feel better. And we need to feel better in this crazy world. And your kids need to feel better. So give them that opportunity. You can have some fun doing it. And it's easier when you're doing things together. None of us is as strong as all of us and all of these fun comments that and teammate cliches. But love is what heals. It's not time. Time doesn't heal anything. Trust me, it's been 8 years. Love does heal. Simple as that. When the speech ended this afternoon, I had an awesome question from that young man in the top row, and he said, how on earth did you cope? How did you do it, Mr. Trumpline? I said, guys, it's my whole speech. It's my friends. They picked me up and they carried me through it. And in doing so, they felt better. And that's the beauty of it. It was just like it is right now. It was quiet. You could hear a pin drop with 350 teenagers in here. And you could see the wheels spinning a bit. I have friends that I love. I need to communicate a little bit more. And that's what we ask them to do. Because 10% of life is what happens to you, and the other 90% is what you make of it. And this is also very important. And when my friend told me this, I remember thinking, oh, this is great. This is great. I'm going to be 90. I'm going to get in that 90. I'm going to make this foundation. I'm going to make these speeches. I'm going to do these things. And I'm going to be in the 90. I'm in the 90. I'm in the 90, baby. And he stopped me. John, it's 1090. It's not 199. Give yourself a 10. It's okay to not be okay. 10% of a day is 2.4 hours. That's a long time. It's okay to give yourself that 10. It's okay to feel the pain, to feel the grief. It's okay to not be okay. And if you keep avoiding it and keep pushing it, it's just going to get worse. And that was really eye-opening for me. And it's such a great saying because it means so much. And I put the sign on the left because when Will died, the first event, 2 high school kids who I didn't even know, came to our house and said, "Hey, Mr. Trotwine, we want to do an event for your foundation. We're going to call it the Where There's a Will, There's a Way 5K. We've already got the venue, we've got the date, we've got the insurance." These are high school kids. $25,000 they raised, and 1,100 to 1,100 people came and ran in this race on a cold February morning. 10% is what happens, 90% is what you make of it. And it basically started the Will Live Foundation. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, this is so great. Will would love this. And I was able to find something that I knew that Will would love, and I knew that he would be proud of. And just last month, we had the 8th running of that thing, and they raised $100,000. And 1,700 people ran in this 5K, or walked in this 5K, and it was put on by a bunch of teenagers. And they have the power when they do things together. You saw it this weekend, the power of the kids. They really do have the power to do things together. And when they do that, they build these bonds, and they build these life teammate bonds. So encourage that, because it's just so rewarding to them. And it also builds that network of friends that they're going to say, hey, let's talk. Because as I started this meeting out today, I said, let's talk about it. We need to talk about it because nobody ever talks about it. And we found a way to talk about it in a positive way. Love you, man, and life teammates, because life, like baseball, is hard. Sometimes you need a friend to get you through. I've talked for a long time tonight, guys, and I appreciate how attentive you all have been. And my goal is, I just hope you understand, I don't have the solutions, but I hope I just made you aware. And I hope I made you think so that you can come up with your own ways of communicating in a way that shows your kids that you understand them a little bit better than perhaps they think you do. And if you can do that, if you can improve your relationship with them, you're going to improve their will to live. I love you, man. Thank you all very, very much. Does anybody have any questions? Yes. So she's saying in Framingham, she teaches in Framingham, and you're told you're not allowed to talk about things like this. To whom? The kids or to the, what middle school, high school? So today was the very first time I ever spoke to a middle school class. It's very, very common. Because, of course, I put the idea of suicide in all their heads this morning. That's what people think. And it's a complete myth. But I get it. I do understand the fear. I spoke to just 8th graders. I didn't speak to 6th and 7th graders. I do get it. But here's the problem. Every 6th grader you know watched 13 Reasons Why. They did, guys. And if you think your kid didn't, they did. Sorry. It was on the internet. It was on their cell phones. Right? Someone told them the story, whatever it might be. So it's this stigma that is slowly getting passed. So what I would do at Framingham, I would have them call Big Dave, principal of Ashland Middle, and say, how did it go? How was the feedback? Right? Candace, you agree? I mean, it's much tougher to get into the middle school for that reason. High schools is a lot easier. College is a lot easier. But that 13 Reasons Why opened the door wide open. Kids are seeing it. They watched it. They watched it in secret. They watched it on their phone. It's about suicide. It's about teen suicide. And it was pretty dramatic. Yes, sir. No way back.
After that, how did you determine that he had depression? Or how did you make that diagnosis?
Okay, that's a great question. I went with the statistics. What is it, 90%? 90% of suicides are the result of depression or some other diagnosable mental illness. But I don't have any other proof, and I never will. It's the only thing I can think of. The only explanation of it. Because it's, someday I'll know, sir, but all I can do is say the illness, the mental illness of depression actually is the most logical answer to why a boy like my son would not want to live, or would take his life, I should say. Because of this depression and this feeling like, did he really want to die, or did he just want this pain to end? This pain that he wouldn't share or couldn't share. And the only way that he thought he could end it was to take his life. That's actually more logical than him being upset because of a girlfriend, or him being upset or something like that. 90% come from some sort of a mental illness. And an illness that never gets treated can lead to a tragedy. And that's what happened. But someday I'll know for sure. Who else? I saw another hand here. Yes?
So how do you get your kids to not put this self-induced pressure on themselves? In other words, if they come home from school and they're all upset because they got an 82, we don't do that. We're like, that's fantastic. And they're like all upset.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you heard that question. The self-induced pressure that the kids put on themselves, how do you stop that? God, I don't know. But you know what's great? You're aware. Maybe ask him that question, or her that question. I get that a lot. I get questions that I can't answer, and I say, you know what? I would turn it right back around to the kid, begin the conversation. Let them help you, and together figure it out. Because they do put a lot of pressure on themselves. And some kids thrive on that, right? But it's still something that, gosh, I remember running through the halls of Northwestern high-fiving people because I got an 82. True story. Like really high-fiving people. Yes, sir.
What's your opinion on the diet school?
I don't know. I'm the wrong guy to ask. He's asking my opinion on the diet and food and chemical imbalance that can come from that. I don't know. It's a good question. I bet I don't know if there's a better answer than that. Yeah, pass. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, I think it's quite common how hereditary depression is. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we did. So the question is the hereditariness of depression, which is very strong. And I did find out that not only does my dad's family, is just my dad and his sister suffered from very strong depression, all 3 of her kids and all 9 of the grandkids. I never knew that. And we're close. And my cousin showed up who was my age, and we kind of grew up together. He was in Lake Forest, Illinois, and I was in Barrington, Illinois. We were the same age. We played sports against each other. We were friends. We were in each other's weddings. His daughter attempted a few times. I didn't know. I think the not talking about it is huge, but it is hereditary, or it can be hereditary. So coupled with the not talking about it is the bigger one. Does that make sense? Yes, sir.
So, how do I'm a big believer on support groups. How do you envision setting up support groups for kids? Because I know it's tough when you're a kid going to a teacher or a parent or a priest or whoever. How do you set up a support group where these kids can go somewhere like, I'm off the balance today?
Yeah, so the question is support group for kids. So they do exist. There are, like in Atlanta, there's counseling centers that actually have kids support groups that gets kids to talk to each other. We actually try to do it indirectly by the club Will to Live. where it was just a place to go, right? Where they could, it was encouraged to go and talk and just be there for each other. What's just really, really important is if those support groups do exist, they can't be afraid to go to an adult, right? They can't be afraid, because the support group, if it's just, the kids aren't doctors either, right? What we're trying to do is get the kids to talk, and if they do talk and say something, then we need to get them help.
How do you identify? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
How do you identify, like, like you've got a friend
Yeah.
who comes to you with, I've got suicidal thoughts. Oh, okay. I don't do that.
So, a friend comes to you with suicidal thoughts. Very simply, that's the act. I'm going to acknowledge, care, and tell.
But then how do you send that kid somewhere where they can help their friend?
Oh, so really, the best way to describe it, see if I'm doing this right, is the call for help has happened. The kid has said something, right? So you're going to acknowledge, care, and tell, and that tell is get to an adult quickly. So the call, text to call to talk. The call to talk people, the suicide lines, the hotlines, the counselors, the mental health, how would I say, networking in the community is key, getting there right away. But most importantly, if it's something where it's in the family only or friend only, get it to the parents, and the parents need to know to get them help immediately. And then when they're getting help, then that's when those groups, those people are the ones that are setting up these groups where they can go and talk, and it's controlled and things like that. So it's perhaps a little bit of a better answer. But that is just, so Will never talked. He never said a word to anybody. I never had a chance. So when I do hear someone say, hey, my son said something, I said, you've got a chance here. Take it seriously. Acknowledge that it's very, very serious, and you need to get help immediately, like today, tonight. And if you're gonna wait till tomorrow, you better sleep with them. Sorry, that's there's an empty room at the top of my stairs. And it's awful. It's an awful situation, and it's hard and it's difficult, but you have a chance. And the talking about it and that call for help is just that, a call for help. And there are wonderful resources around, but we just need to be aware of them and know about them and not be afraid to do it. If they had diabetes, if they had cancer, if they had leukemia, if they whatever, you go and see the experts without hesitation. So we need to do the same thing when we hear these things, because it could very well be a serious mental illness that needs to be addressed now.
Do you know if it's very common with teenagers for there not to be warning signs, like for example, loss of appetite, change in sleep? I don't know if your son had any of that. But
Yeah, so this is the hard part. If you go on the internet and you go to the American Association of Suicide Prevention, you go to our website, Contacts for Help, all of these things will go through the signs of depression. I wrote them they're in my book where I quoted all of these various things. Will had none of them. That's hard. But now you're aware. Right? If it can happen to Will, guys, it can happen. And he didn't have any of those. He had this functional depression where he was able to mask it, to hide behind the mask. But maybe if I would have said something like, wow, this is really hard. You doing all right, man? Maybe he would have said, no. But because I was saying, isn't this great? Isn't this awesome? This is so cool. He didn't have the heart to say no. So this is the hard part about this. There are kids out there, and it happened here in this community last year. The exact same scenario as Will. And it's heartbreaking. So we learn from it, and we become more aware as a result of it, and we honor these kids and these families that are going through it by just being a little bit more aware ourselves. Yes?
What's the most common question or feedback you get from the students themselves?
The most common feedback I get is, thank you. I really get that a lot. And I guess, other than that, it's this recognition of the pressures of getting into school. That's the one, particularly from high school, that's the one that we're just so hung up on this. Because if they have an 82, they might not get into Tufts. Or they might not get into school that they know you really want them to get into. Right? And that's hard. They want to please us. And it's really hard to get into Tufts. And it's really hard to get into all these schools. I think that's probably the one that feedback I get the most. Yes, sir.
So you place a lot of emphasis on coaching, coaches. So can you reflect a little bit on the importance of coaching in this process?
Yes, I can. So I want to make something really clear. I do put in a lot of emphasis on coaches because I think coaches have an opportunity because of the type of environment they have the kids in. It's easier to play when you're coaching someone. I don't want to put the pressure on coaches to be the be-all and end-all, and they're the ones that have to save the kids. What I'm trying to say to coaches is that you have an opportunity to truly inspire them. Because when they're on a team, it's supposed to be fun, right? What does the umpire say after the national anthem? Play ball. Doesn't say stress ball, freak out ball, get straight A's in an AP classes ball. He's play. And the coaches have an opportunity to let them play. And it's just hard because the mom and dad just spent hundreds of dollars giving them private lessons. And they better have enough playing time because I just spent $1,000 to play on Team Georgia, $3,000 to play on Team Georgia travel team, and he pitched 4 innings. It's very, very hard. It's unlike what it was when we were their age. So my concept, my chat to the coach, my message to the coach is you have an opportunity to inspire. And it's often easier for a coach to inspire than it even is a teacher because of the nature of the activity that they're doing. I just want them to recognize that. And I want them to realize that going Bobby Knight on somebody is not the same now than it was when Bobby Knight was going Bobby Knight on somebody. First of all, the kid didn't have a cell phone. Second of all, the kid was 21. So when I talk to the Little League coaches and they go Bobby Knight on a 12-year-old, I'm like, you might as well give him a lacrosse stick for Christmas because he's not playing baseball next year. True story. I spoke to a whole group of lacrosse coaches. I said, you should all get on your knees right now and thank the Little League coaches of America for enabling lacrosse. And don't make the same mistake they did. So what did they do? I know. We'll have a 12-game tournament starting Friday at 6 and it's going to end Sunday at 9. We're going to play Sunday at 9 and 11. And if we win, we play at 3. If we lose, we play at 5. And then if we win that, we're going to play at 8. If we lose, we play at 10. And then we'll get home somewhere between 1 in the morning. When the American Indians invented lacrosse, they were not thinking of a 12-game tournament. When Abner Doubleday invented baseball, he was not thinking of a 12-game tournament in 3 days. I can't even go through 2 baseball games. I can barely get through 1 baseball game. And I played it. Very passionate about that one. Right? It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun. Guys, make it fun. If you want your kids to make the high school team, they have to love it. They have to love it. If they don't love it, they shouldn't play it. It's too hard. It's too much of a stress. It's too difficult now. So how do we make them love it? We teach them to love their teammates. And we make the game fun. I'll tell you what, man. When I talk to those kids that are 12 years old, or the parents of kids that are 12 years old, I'll just say, does he love it? Make him love it. Because that's the only way they're going to make it through this. If you love it, it'll love you back, but you're going to have to love it. What else? Yes, ma'am.
I want to first thank you, and I wanted to ask 2 questions, maybe one's not a question, but maybe to try to where can I see this presentation, because my son was absent from school today, and I didn't come tonight, and it's kind of hard to do with 6 feet tall, whatever, it's like kids can't go, blah, blah, blah. So that's my first thing I want to ask.
Say that again.
Where I can see this presentation.
Yeah, so they are filming this, correct?
Yeah.
So they will be able to see it online somewhere?
Cable TV.
And my second thing is I was just thinking this, and I think that we have put a lot of emphasis on sports and being a part of the team, and not everybody plays sports, so, you know, something else can be their team, you know. I mean,
Right.
Just because not everybody plays sports.
So that's a really good question. It's a really good comment. So I am the Chief Customer Officer of my company right now. Tomorrow, I have a team meeting at 10 with the operations group. And then at 2 o'clock, I have a steering team meeting. And then at 4 o'clock, I have a marketing team meeting. And so I told this to the kids today. Whether it's a sports team or whether it's a scouting group or whether it's a chess club, whatever, you guys are on teams. And rejoice in the fact that you are on a team. And when you're applying for, when you're writing your application, when you're going through an interview, when they ask you what do you like about yourself, hopefully you're able to talk about what a great teammate you are. And when I talk to athletes, I hit them hard with that because they have a real advantage because they're so team focused. So use it. Because I tell you what, if you're not a team player, you're not going to make it in anything. And so we all are on teams. You saw my first slide said Team Troutline. The family's a team. And just, it's in your interest, it's in these kids' interest to accept the fact or positively look for opportunities to be on teams and be a team player and be a good teammate and all of these things because it's an absolute must to be successful. And so this is where obviously it's my comfort zone to talk about teams because of my background. But it does fit. And I'm often quite conscious about it, right? You know, because I'm an athlete, well, there's lots of people that aren't athletes. Well, guess what? You cannot whistle a symphony. It takes an entire orchestra to play it. And every band member in the audience today shouted out, "I love you, John." I said that. But it's true. And life is this symphony, and you just can't do it on your own. And the human spirit craves companionship. A really good friend said that to me right after Will died. And I was struggling, and I went to lunch. It was like 2 weeks later, and I had lunch by myself, and I hadn't been by myself for a while, and I lost it, and I pulled over the side of the road, and I was devastated. I missed him. And right then, my buddy called me, and he had lost his daughter to leukemia 5 years before. He was my old teammate with the Expos and the Miners. His name was Brian, and he just said, "Trout, I'm worried about you. How are you?" And I said, "I'm not good." And he said, "Are you alone?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I knew it. It's too soon, John. The human spirit craves companionship. And when you're alone, your mind begins to wander. You just spent the last 2 weeks surrounded by loved ones and friends and things like that." And I remember listening to him and just thinking, he's so right. We do need each other. We do crave that. So as parents, maybe it's one of these things where get your kids and their friends together and have this kind of a conversation. Ask them how it went. Because you have a chance these kids have a chance to really make a positive impact on others. And I think that's really fun to think of it that way. Yes?
If you go to someone's family with in Utah, and you don't feel like they've actually done anything, or you hear from like your kids that they're still saying this, and then you go to like a school, private concert, you don't really know, or there's a lot of people we can't even do, or you feel like there's still something suicidal in the kid.
Thoughts? I mean, the question is really, you've told the family, you've told the school, no, I mean, where's the police here?
Well, actually, what you should do if you can't get them to see the primary care doctor is call 911. And you'll get EMS depending on the urgency of the situation, and you will get taken to the medical field.
So that's actually that's a very difficult one, right?
Call 911 for that.
Yeah. And there have been times where, you know, if they do actually say something and you tell the police that he has said, I'm going to kill myself, they can come in and take over. It happened in our neighborhood. It happened to one of my son's friends. Yes.
So I just wanted to say thank you as well to you in school. And my daughter was in high school, and she's a very independent girl, and the kind of person that doesn't want you to get into her, you know, in the middle of things with her friends or whatever. And she's got a really tight group of friends. And she actually texted me. I'm sure it was at lunch today. It was probably right after your presentation. And I work a lot of evenings, and she asked me to please come tonight. And I just wanted to thank you, because it really, walking in here, a student outside said what a great presentation it was, and really how you opened, I'm sure, a lot of people's eyes to really pay attention to things. And I know that it really, it touched my children, both children. I have an eighth grader and a junior, but it was, I'm so glad that I came.
Well, you know what, so I appreciate that. The beauty of that, right, is by you coming, you're sending a message. And maybe you're just a little bit more aware. Mission accomplished, right? And I think that's really what we're trying to do, guys. Just be a little bit more aware, right? No one loves them like you guys do. Keep giving them that message. Keep showing them that you know it's hard. And I think that's the real message I'm trying to get them to do. Because that was the feedback I got today. Like, oh, I hope my parents come. Because they want to improve the communication. They want to improve the relationship. And they saw me as a parent. They saw me as a parent that wouldn't have come. And I think that's what makes it effective. All right, it's getting late, guys. I have no voice. I've enjoyed it. Thank you very much.